Welcome to today's live stream. In today's live stream we're gonna look at two amazing things in Flight Simulator 2020 but also 2024, right? I'm using 2024, but of course it's up to you which sim you're using. If you are using sim update number 5 beta, sim update number 5 beta, also let me know via the chat. I'm currently participating in it. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. It's pretty stable. There are some known issues, but hey, let's see. So what's the idea? The idea is that we're gonna fly using this nice aircraft, right? It's the Fokker F27, which has been released as part of the FS weekend, which took place here in the Netherlands this weekend. I was there yesterday for some time. Pretty funny. Spoke to several vendors, looked at a lot of cool things. Also let me know if you were there, right? Let me know and what you thought about it. So again, this is the Fokker, right? So let's have a close look. So the Fokker has been created by I&I Builds, and that always means that it's pretty high quality. Here you can see the engine, right? It has two Rolls-Royce engines, and currently they're shut down. And the nice thing is that they are pretty well modeled. Also, if you look at this, right, which is the gear, you can see that the modeling is super detailed. Also, if you look here, you can see everything, right? Super cool, I would say. I already love it. And also the wear and tear. And as you might have seen in my previous videos, I love the wear and tear. If they are super clean, those liveries, then I really don't like that, right? So I like to have those wear and tear things, because else I don't think it's super realistic. On the back, of course, we see this famous, brand, right? Fokker. Unfortunately, it does not exist anymore, at least not the manufacturer of the aircrafts anymore. But I think that you can still there are some parts still left, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Also, if you know more about that, also let me know, because I'm really curious. But based on my knowledge, they don't exist anymore. At least they're not building aircraft anymore. And there are only a few companies building aircraft, right? If we look at this, we can see other nice things, right? Unfortunately, it looks like this is a bug due to the fact that there is, still this part, right, where you can see the code of the sign of the aircraft. That one is, still not reflected correctly. That's, a pity, I would say. But let's see if they can fix that in the near future. Other than that, what did they do? What did they do? Well, a lot of other cool things, because they also released that nice city update, right? City update number, what is it? 14 already. City update number 14, super cool. Super realistic also. And it takes place in the Netherlands as well as in Belgium. And we're gonna fly over that, right? So we're gonna fly over that, but first we're gonna continue our review of the Fokker. So let's go inside the aircraft, right? Let's fly with the drone inside the aircraft. Really cool. And then you can see this is the aircraft, including, the interior. And you can see it's pretty detailed. It's pretty detailed, as you can see. A lot of nice things over here. And I love it. I already love it. And if you love it too, then let me know via the chat. I'm having a close look at the chat, so let me know what you think about it. Super nice again that they have released this. Going to the cockpit, which is over here. We can fly to the wall, and that's super nice, because here you can see some kind of special door. And that also is, kind of special, because if you go outside and then if you open this door, you eventually end up in the cockpit. In the cockpit, you see a lot of wear and tear, right? Look at these buttons. All wear and tear. You can see the ailerons over here. And if we move a little bit forward, we can see also a lot of other things. Like the autopilot part, which is over here. We can see the flaps, of course. We can see some other buttons. We can see the emergency flap up. We can see the autopilot master throttle. We can see the throttles, of course, in front of us. We can see the trim wheels and a lot of gouges. A lot of gouges, as well as the known Fokker brand. This aircraft also has an EFB, and the EFB is of course that one from ANI builds. So it has some cool things. If we would zoom in to this one, I can show you it has all the ground equipment which you can manage from here. You can remove the chocks, remove the pitot cover. You can open the doors, of course, and you can also say close all doors, which you can do using a single, I would say, button. Of course, you can have the chart. Depending on if you have the Navigraph subscription, you can also switch on the Navigraph maps, which will look like this. This is the default view, which is the flight simulator map, but that's fine. Other than that, you've got the options where you can configure, say, few things, including the GNSS selection. By default, you can use the working title 430, but you can also use the PMS or TDS GTNs. But keep in mind that you need to pay for them. Besides that, you can sign using Navigraph if you own that subscription. Other than that, I think we spoke enough, right? We can see a lot of buttons, but let's say get it started. Let's get this one in the air. So I'm going to switch to the cockpit view because we're gonna do it the easy way. And the easy way is simple by pressing Ctrl E. Ctrl E will simply start the aircraft. Of course, we could have go to the EFB and then go to the aircraft and then go to the checklist. The checklist is pretty extensive, as you can see. I'm not going to go to it. Maybe I will record a video later about that. But it contains a lot of options, and using these eye icons you can quickly jump from one to the other. You can move from standard to expert, but based on my first validation, there's not a lot of differences currently taking place. Although I'd say that might change in the near future. I don't know yet if that happens, but it looks like that they keep it as is. So nice options over here. So let me try to change the brightness in the meantime of my other machine. You can hear the engine sound. You can hear the engine sound already. Do you hear it? Let me know via the comment box what you think about it. I love it. So the engine has been started, right? If we would go outside, we can of course also listen from the outside. So let's do that. Let's have a closer look over here. We can see the engine is, I would say, nicely switched on. So super cool. I see also the poll. Already some people have, let's say, voted. So let me end the poll and let's say, see what the answer is. So most of you didn't try only City Update, and you didn't try out the local legend. There was only one vote. Come on guys, some more, say, some more interaction. Please vote when I'm posting those polls, because that really helps. Besides that, what we're gonna do is, of course, we're gonna go pushback. So we're gonna go inside, and we're gonna make sure that we're, let's say, accepting all the things over here. We're gonna say, hey, enter OK. Enter OK for now, and then we're gonna wait till it acquires the signal. Other than that, everything looks cool. So let's open the chat. In this case, the chat with the ATC, and then let's ask for say clearance, right? Oh, no, we need to ask for pushback, but we can't ask pushback. We can pushback over here. Because I want to be pushed back a bit, right? I want to be pushed back a bit because I do think that that makes more sense. Because you can see that this large pushback truck needs to push back us, I'd say. And then we need to push back, steer to the... Well, that's always a guess. I always pick the wrong one. So push back to the... in this case, let's wait. This is kind of weird, right? We didn't even ask for pushback stop. So let's see what happens. It's always a nightmare, this. But it might be caused by the fact that I'm using also GSX, right? I've got GSX also. And then let's see. Contact tower on 118.205 when ready. Of course, pick the wrong, I would say, pick the wrong aircraft sign, right? I still have the Lufthansa one because I was trying the Airbus A330, I would say, previous or early this week. So let me ask for pushback again. And then let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Here we go.
Pushback request accepted.
Here we can see, right, some other aircrafts. Lauda Air is there, also nice aircraft.
LH490 Lima Hotel 490. Your request has been transmitted to the operator.
So we're waiting for me to be pushed back by the pushback truck. And then we're gonna, I would say, try to take off using this nice aircraft. First we're gonna taxi. I switched on those helper signals, right, because it's always easy. If you don't want to see them, you can always hide them. So I'm gonna remove the parking brake. Here we go. And then we're gonna stop. And this is always what I hate, right? Because I would say I love the GSX add-on, right? If you didn't buy the GSX add-on, think about it, because this one has so much options where you can do a lot of things with. So I would recommend you to definitely have a look at it. So we're gonna hide this part for now, and we're gonna wait till the pushback truck is, I would say, gone. Because else we are, I would say, likely gonna drive into it, and that's of course not what we want, right? We want to say keep continuing. We want to keep continuing, and I'd say we want to keep continuing on, say, moving forward. You can see that obviously. Here we go. Of course, I'm driving a little bit on the green. That's not what you should do. We should have followed that gray part, but hey. For now it's okay. So we're on our way to the runway. Yes, we're on our way to the runway with the Fokker F27, which was released as the latest local legend during FS weekend in Lelystad in the Netherlands. If you've been there, let me know. I thought it was, I would say, super nice. I saw some nice things. I missed some of the shows, unfortunately. I would say I was aware of some of the things, but the ones which were the most interesting, I missed them, because I would have loved to see the Microsoft one. But hey, not for me. If you were there, let me know via the chat, right? Let's get some interactivity with the chat, and then let's see. So we've been assigned runway 06. So let me quickly open the EFB. If you don't know where you need to depart from, it's always handy to use the EFB, right? You can recenter, and then you see runway 06 is here, and we're almost on the runway, so that's good. So let's make sure that we've got the clearance, and then say request takeoff, because we don't want to crash into other airplanes, of course. Here we can see nothing is over there. So we're good. We're ready for takeoff. So let's increase the power a bit. And of course, it's always recommended to follow the checklist of the aircraft, right? So flight performance, flight checklist, and then you can say, hey, engine start, we already did it. So you can line up and taxi. Those are the steps which you likely want to follow. So let's also make sure that we do that. We're gonna set the parking brake to make sure that we're doing all the things. So we're gonna click these eye icons, and then it's always a nightmare, because it always puts them on the things where you don't want them. So you can switch on the taxi lights. Say the controls are a little bit weird, to be honest, if you ask me. I'm not sure why that's being the fact, but I'd say controls a little bit strange. You can see that also the rest of the things is good, so we don't need to change this. So we're going to close this one for now. But the controls, I would say, using the mouse cursor and other things are a little bit, let's say, between brackets, special. You can see a lot of things over here, right? You can see all the gouges are still, say, in green. So do a quick check. Of course here, we're good. And then we're, say, ready to go. So I'm gonna use this view because I do think it's a nice view. So we're gonna remove the parking brakes, which are over here, as you could see, and then we're gonna increase the power. And then you hear the magic sound of the aircraft. Zoomed in a bit because I do think that's nicer. And then let me remove the mouse a bit. You can see it's also pretty fast aircraft, right? It goes really fast, and then we're gonna go airborne. Here we go. We've got a positive climb, so we're gonna do gear up. Also make sure that we push back the flaps. And try to avoid that we're not gonna climb too fast. Now, of course, I would say since we're, flying in the Netherlands, we took off from Rotterdam, the Hague airport. Let's turn the aircraft a bit, because our first, place which we're gonna visit is Rotterdam, because that's one of the cities which received an update as part of city update number 14. Gonna move outside. So this is the aircraft, right? Super nice. It's the Fokker F27, super nice aircraft. If you love to fly it, or if you like to fly it, it's not even that expensive, right? You can even get it, against a reasonable price, I would say. I'm pretty happy with it. I already tested it several times. I did flew some, some miles with it, not 100%, right? Not 100% flying, but I did some testing, of course. And this is the, aircraft. So super nice. If you look from the side, right, we're using the, traditional or legacy KLM view. And on the right side, as you could already see, there's the city of Rotterdam. Right here you can see the crawling surplus. I'm not sure if I pronounced correctly in English. And over there are some bridges. There's the soccer stadium of, famous soccer club. So let's, go inside again, because that's always nicer to see. There are a few shortcuts, as you can see, which you can press. Also nice. What I find is, the last few days is that the photogrammetry content is a little bit, buggy. It doesn't work always. If you, fly very low, you sometimes see some weird things happening. I'm not sure if that's caused by the fact that this is, Sim Update 14 release, due to some, high pressure on the surface, or something else is going on. You can see here, we can see some bridges and the co-pilot. So let's make the turn a little bit further, because this is Rotterdam, right? You can see the harbor over here, which is really nice. You can see also a lot of buildings, including here our legacy ship, which is the SS Rotterdam, which is, an old cruise ship. The ships in Flight Simulator still haven't been fixed. But based on the talk yesterday with somebody, they mentioned that there's a, add-on which you can install, which is AI ships, which fixes most of these issues. So think about that, if that's, something worth for you. Because it might, resolve your issue. If you're seeing these weird issues, then maybe try it out and let's see. While I'm flying, right, let's make sure that we're going the correct way. I'm gonna go here and let's see. So this is the city of Rotterdam. Let me go outside, because then we can also look at some other parts. Here we can see it from the top, using the Fokker F27. The Fokker F27, again, local legend number, what is it, 21 or 23 already? I would say they released so many items, but I like it. There we go, 321 Aviation. Yeah, it's super cool, right? Isn't it? Do you already tried it? The old bird, yeah, the old bird F27. If you were at the Aviodrome yesterday, where the FS weekend was held, you could see several of them in between brackets real life, because this aircraft, they've got 2 of them. So if you would love to see it, then I would definitely recommend you to go over there and have a look. Then we're flying here. We're flying here, I'd say, pretty close to a lot of industry, right? Here you can see, a lot of large industries. I'm not gonna call out names, but there are a lot of brands over here which have their factories over here. And if we follow this river, we will eventually end up at the North Sea. And that's also our goal, because we want to see the, I would say, city of Brielle, which is also being updated. They received it, and that's also pretty nice. You can either, let's say, follow this river, but you can see there's also a parallel river here, which you can also, let's say, fly, because then you're coming closer to the city. It's easier. So there are two separate, let's say, between brackets channels. But hey, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try with this nice F27. If you didn't buy it, I am definitely recommending this one, because it comes with multiple liveries, including this legacy KLM1. Scenery indeed also looks pretty good. Yesterday I tested it and it was, well, between brackets, a little bit bunky. There were a lot of, let's say, yeah, I'm not sure how to call it, but a lot of, let's say, almost squares where you could see it. And it looks like, let's say, servers have now been, let's say, or are now capable enough of handling all the load. So here we are going. And I think the city of Brielle, there's always a question. It could be that we already bypassed it, but I don't think so. I think we're still on track. Or it's there, or it's there. And that's the hard thing about Flight Simulator, right? It's hard to say. Hard to say, okay, hey, if it really makes sense. I think it's over here somewhere, because there are a lot of, let's say, nice say canals also. Yeah, this is the city of Brielle, I'm pretty sure. How do I recognize this? Well, because I lived there pretty close in the past, so I know how it looks like. So let's try it. Here you can see it, right? Super nice. If you would compare this with the reality, it looks super cool. Even if you look at some of these signs, it looks really magnificent. So then we are arriving at what we call the Westland, right? Westland is, let's say, where you see a lot of, let's say, these buildings, where I'd say they kind of, I'd say, make, or not make, is it making? Yeah, could potentially be make, but also, let's say, are developing new stuff, like, say, new plans, new other things. That's what happens here. We're gonna move, or let's say, just having a look at the chat. We're gonna move our mouse a little bit, because, or the mouse, we're gonna not move the mouse, we're gonna move the aircraft. Sorry, that's when you try to multitask in some cases, right? That's something we want to do. So let's do it. So this is what they call the Maasvlakte, right? That's, let's say, a large harbor area in the Netherlands. You can see a lot of factories, right? Including here the smoke. Look at this. Also pretty nice. A lot of detail. So we're on our way, let's say, we're gonna follow the coastline, and then we're gonna make a tour to the Netherlands, right? We're gonna visit first, we're gonna visit, say, Amsterdam, and then we drop slowly down, visiting, I would say, Breukelen, Utrecht, and then Eindhoven, and then we will eventually stop, I would say, at Antwerp and Brugge in Belgium, because those two cities also received an update, which is again super nice. You see, the level of quality is super high nowadays. And this is all streaming, right? I'm not downloading any content, I'm streaming the content. You can see also the ships here. Luckily the ships are here are, I would say, kind of good, right? They're not laying on the, say, on the country. So that's pretty good to see. Pretty good to see that they have fixed that also. But they didn't fix it entirely. Don't worry, I'm using sim update number 5 beta, and still there are some issues with the ships which are on the country. And it's of course not what we want, but hey, that's how it is. So let me have a look at it. Here we go. And here we go. So we're now bypassing, let's say, the Westland, and we're on our way to Amsterdam. But let's say when we fly to Amsterdam, we also will, let's say, fly pretty close to The Hague, right? The Hague and Scheveningen, which are, I would say, nice parts of the Netherlands. If you've never been there, I would definitely have a look at it. And then we will fly, say, to those, I would say, tourist things which are here. Then maybe we even, I would say, bypass the Formula 1 circuit, which is also pretty close here. And this year it's the last race, unfortunately, at least for some people, unfortunately, but for some other people, they might, I would say, not like it. And here we can see also the level of detail here. Also the sea looks pretty good, pretty nice. So over here we see some other cities, right? I need to look at the other side. And you can see that the level of detail is pretty good. The weather is also pretty good. The beaches are of course empty because it's well, today it was nice weather here, but the rest of the week doesn't look too good, to be honest. But let's see. So we're gonna have a look at it. So let's see. I'm gonna move the aircraft. Let's see what we're gonna do next. We're flying above the Netherlands using the Fokker F27 Friendship. This aircraft has been released yesterday as the latest local legend, and I already love it. It's super nice aircraft. It's super realistic. It has been created by I&I Builds. I'm gonna likely, let's say, have a close look at some of the systems of the aircraft really soon, and then we'll post separate videos about that, right? But that's what say, so keep an eye on the channel, and then you will see them appearing over here in the coming days. Here we are, we're flying pretty close to the Hague and to Scheveningen, and here we can see the harbor of Scheveningen, right? We can see the harbors over here, and not too many ships, unfortunately, and also the beach, because that's where the city is known for. Pretty nice also with those beach clubs which are down, which we're flying over now. And then in front of us there should be what they call the pier. I'm not sure if they modeled it in Flight Sim 2024. It might be missing, sorry. Because here you can also sometimes see some weird things, some errors in the scenery, and hopefully they will fix that in the near future. But I doubt, because the weird thing is, I'm not sure if you also observed it, is that they showed that they updated, or at least the intro video of city update number 14 did contain some pictures of The Hague, but I don't believe that they have been updated, to be honest, because they only focus on a few cities. While flying here, you can see a lot of, let's say, flora and fauna, as we call it, a lot of nice things. So, and we're on our way to Amsterdam. We're gonna go to Amsterdam because Amsterdam also received some updates. Yesterday when I tried it out, it was, let's say, not really nice, I must say. I saw a lot of weird things, but let's see. Also hearing some other weird things, but hopefully that's good. Yeah, Schiphol also received an update, right? 321 Aviation. Because it was a little bit unclear, I must say. It was not very clear if Schiphol also received an update. I read some rumors that it had received an update, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
LH490 Lima Hotel 490, contact Schiphol approach on 118.
We're already getting close, right? Because we need to contact Schiphol approach, but we're not gonna land there. Don't worry. We just started flying using this nice Fokker F27. So let me go inside for a while, because this is the aircraft, right? Let's also have a look over here. We can see a lot of instruments, a lot of details over here. We can see all kind of lights burning. We can see the radio frequency. We can see also almost every button is working. Not all, no, not all, but a lot. Besides that, of course, we can see the altimeter, we can see the speedometer, we can see some other things. We can see if we climb or if we descend. We can, I would say, decrease throttling a bit. We can see also a lot of buttons and lights, right? What I like about this aircraft is how they modeled it, because they modeled it, I would say, super nice, with, I would say, a lot of wear and tear. If you look over here, and if you look over here, a lot of wear and tear, even on, I would say, this part, right? Look at it, super nice. And you can, of course, hide it if you want. Most basic instruments are working, which is good. The autopilot was a little bit, would say, it should work, but there are some weird things of managing these buttons. I didn't figure it out yet. The autopilot functionality can be found over here, and here's that master switch, which you of course can always use to, say, for example, fly a specific altitude or do something else. Right, for fly a specific, I would say, direction. That's super nice. I see more people are joining. Welcome to the channel. We're discovering the Netherlands, which has been updated as part of City Update number 14 already. City Update 14. The cool thing is that it's both available for, I would say, people who are on Flight Simulator 2020 as well as 2024, which is nice. And I would say I love it already. A lot of details have been added, as you can see. Well, luckily here you can't see it because we're, let's say, not close to a city which has received an update, but we're on our way to a city which received an update. And while talking about that, I need to watch out that I'm, say, not diverting too much from my direction, because you can see I programmed a flight in this nice panel. So I can show it using the flight planner. Well, likely the flight planner. Here we have the flight plan. Right, so likely we're not gonna bypass Zandvoort, although we might. Let's see. And then we're gonna fly, let's say, north from Schiphol, and then make the turn back to, in this case, Amsterdam. Fly over the city and then do some nice things over there, which is, again, really nice to do. While talking, also keep an eye on everything, keep an eye on the chat. So again, welcome to the channel. If you want me to do a poll, let me know, because I'm, I would say, pretty curious. So let me post a poll. So let me start the poll. The next poll is, which flight simulator version are you using? I am curious which one you're using. Say we're currently flying above the Netherlands, as you can see. Really nice scenery, and we're coming close to, say, a lot of nice places, including what some people like, what some people don't like, is the Formula 1 circuit of Zandvoort. I'm gonna go outside because we're gonna look from the top. Here you can also see that they add a lot of, I would say, scenery. This was already part of Flight Simulator 2024, right? And also 2020. There were not a lot of changes here. And we can see, using this nice Fokker aircraft, we can fly over this part of the country really easy. It's of course also super nice weather, which also helps. And I'd say that's pretty nice. See a lot of people. Here's the Formula 1 circuit, right? Look how realistic it is. Super nice. It almost looks like these pictures were taken during an event. Almost. So let's go inside the cockpit again, because I need to, let's say, kind of divert the direction a bit. Because we want to make sure that we're flying, I would say, we're currently flying north from Schiphol. And we're gonna make a turn, so we're getting closer to that pink line, right? Because the pink line is something which we want to, let's say, try to to follow, because that's kind of the route which I pre-set up a bit to make sure that we're visiting all the cities which have been updated, let's say as part of the sim update. Here's a question from 321 Aviation. Is that the GTN 430 in the middle? Yes, it is. I will have a close look, I'd say, really soon. So let me figure out which button it is. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, there's no shortcut for that one. But let me have a look at it while we're talking. While we're talking, we're gonna have a look at that part. So let's see if we can figure that out. But it's indeed the GTN, right? If we zoom in, like I'm currently doing, here we can see it's the GTN 430, which is the default one. You can swap to different radios if you want, but that requires you to have, let's say, third-party add-on. That can be done using the EFB, because you can also switch to the PMS or TDS GTN 650. Also an option for you if you already have that add-on. I do assume, between brackets, that you can simply select it and then have a go. Now we need to, let's say, kind of turn back, because else we're gonna go into the wrong direction, and that's always the risk of, I would say, keeping an eye on something else, like the chat, or keeping an eye on the GTN and then don't pay attention to this. Because here, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Schiphol Airport, and likely they don't like if we're flying like this, because hey, here we've got several runways, right? If we go outside and then look at the runway, well, actually we're flying over one of them right now, and that's likely what ATC doesn't like us to do. Yeah, Garmin in a big airliner. Yeah, that's really rare, but hey, it's also a legacy aircraft, right? So that's also something. Here you've got runway 18 Romeo. This is super nice runway. If you ever visit the Netherlands and you want to watch airplanes landing and take off, then here's, I would say, pretty close by is, I would say, a spot where you can, I would say, watch those aircrafts. So super nice. I sometimes go there simply for fun, and then I'd say enjoy it. Now we're on our way to, in this case, Amsterdam. Right, Amsterdam is one of the cities which receives an update. Let me say, kind of redirect the course a bit, because you can see that I was initially planning to go a little bit more to the north, and this is the other part of the Netherlands which received an update. We already did bypass Rotterdam. Now we're flying above Amsterdam. I'm already gonna warn you about this, because yesterday when I tried this, I found it looked really, between brackets, a little bit crappy, to be honest. I was not entirely happy with this, but hey, let's see how it looks like today, because today is a new day, and I would say with Flight Simulator it sometimes depends on the, let's say, load on the servers, and especially when those new city updates or sim updates are released, then you know what's gonna happen. Yes, then you know what's gonna happen. Remember what? It will always cause issues. So you can always, let's say, set your clock on it, because if they release an update for some reason, things go, I would say, completely crazy. So this is the city of Amsterdam, right? City of Amsterdam also received some updates. It's not entirely clear what they updated. At least they updated the triangular irregulated networks, also known as the TINs, and they said they updated the interesting areas. Well, what's an interesting area? That's a good question always. So what you will see here is, I would say, a lot of things. You can see, let's say, the harbor on the other side. You can see, let's say, the Zuidas, we also know. And here we see, let's say, the other part, right? You can see a lot of, let's say, construction buildings, and we're almost flying over what we call the city center, right? Here's the city center with all those, right, those canals, as you can see. And also we see the, say, central station, which we're flying over now. Also this looks, say, pretty cool. The question, however, is if you are descending and go on a very low altitude, if it still looks cool, right? We of course could try that. Maybe we should do it for fun to see how that looks like. So who's in for a low VFR flight using the Fokker F27? Should we do it? Should we decrease altitude and go crazy above Amsterdam, or should we simply continue our trip? Asking it to my watchers, I'm always, I'd say, in for fun. So maybe we should do it. Maybe we should say do it and then say descent altitude, and then after that we simply climb altitude back to say normal levels to see how that altitude looks like. Let me do it. I don't see a lot of reactions yet, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna descend a bit because we're currently flying, I'd say not that high, but hey, we're flying, I'd say, too high to see the level of detail of the photogrammetry content, right? We're flying at 2000 or 4800 feet, so I already started decreasing power. So let's see what happens. And we're gonna make a turn because we're flying outside Amsterdam already, so we're gonna make a turn back to the city. Also need to watch out that we're not descending too fast, of course. And then we're gonna make a turn. We're gonna make a turn and let's see how the city of Amsterdam looks like. I am already curious about this. How will it look like? Will it look great? Will it look bad? Let's see. We will know in a few minutes. If you want me to do something else, also let me know via the chat. If you want me to, let's say, fly over a different area, also let me know. We're gonna, let's say, fly to the south part of the Netherlands and then we're gonna fly to Belgium. So here we can see also some other say important buildings, right? We can see the Amsterdam Arena or the Johan Cruyff Arena, I think it's not now called. Not really a soccer fan, to be honest. And then if we turn further away, we will say fly into the direction of the city of Amsterdam and fly really low because I want to see how well the quality is, because yesterday it was kind of, well, room for improvement. That's even nice what I'm saying, because it was really, I'd say, not too good. So here we go. Here we can see this is the highway into Amsterdam, or at least one of the roads into Amsterdam. There we see side doors again. Let's turn a little bit further. You can see it now starts to say kind of stutter a bit. So stuttering, no, I'm using a 4090 card, so that likely is not the issue. It's likely something else is say causing this issue. I'm not sure what, but hey, let's see. So we're flying 2000, almost 2500. We're climbing 2700 feet currently, which is, I would say, fun. So let's see. And let's see if that content has improved, because I want to see how good it is. Is it good enough or not? I do expect, to be honest, that it still is blurry, because with photogrammetry content I've never seen it be perfect, to be honest. I'm not sure what your, I'd say, experience is, but I do think that it's, would say, it's nice. But on the other end, if you're flying too low, you will definitely see those, let's say, differences. But let's see. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. Well, let me go outside and then watch from top. Actually, it does look a lot better than yesterday. Let's make the turn, right? Let's look further. Let's look further down. So this is the city of Amsterdam. The city of Amsterdam received an update as part of city update number 14 already. The question, of course, is which city update will be next. That's always the question. And I would say I'm always curious how they decided, but mostly what I figured out recently is that it really is, I would say, where the event is, that's where they will start releasing stuff. To watch that we're not flying too low, but here's the level of detail. I must say this looks pretty well. I'm not sure what you think about it, but it looks pretty cool. Now let's move to another area, right? Let's move to the area over here. Here you can see some of the buildings have been handcrafted like this one, pretty clear. So not everything is based on photogrammetry content. Also some parts are really hand painted. This one also looks better. Yesterday it looked really, let's say, well, not that good. So pretty cool. So let's continue our trip. So I'm gonna increase the power of the Fokker F27 again. And look at this aircraft. Look from the other side. Look at it. Pretty nice using that, let's say, kind of, between brackets, legacy KLM view. So what's our next, let's say, part which we're gonna visit? Well, we need to, let's say, make the turn again, because my plan was to visit the city or the village of Breukelen, which is also updated. Some, I would say, very known cities are updated, but also some cities where you might have never heard of, right? I'm pretty, I would say, well known. At least I know my geography a lot in the Netherlands, so I know most of the cities which they updated, so it's always cool to see. But I'm really wondering why they selected these kind of cities, right? Breukelen is known for, say, Nijrode, which is, I would say, a nice castle, but also a university, which is pretty cool. And we're gonna make the turn. We're gonna make the turn, and then we're gonna fly to the city of Breukelen, and that's likely will bring us, would say, pretty close to the highway, because the highway to Breukelen is, would say, pretty close. So let's see. And that's what they call the A2. The A2 is a really, I would say, important, highway in Netherlands. Also a really busy one, to be honest. But let's see. Here we go again, right? We're climbing, or at least we're not climbing, we're descending. So let me increase throttling a bit. And then we can see a lot of water, right? That's where the Netherlands is known for, a lot of water, a lot of nice things, I would say. And here you can see still the city, right? This looks, well, I'm pretty impressed by this. Yesterday it was definitely not as good as it is today, but now it is. I'm pretty happy with the results. Could also be due to the fact that I discovered a bug in Flight Simulator 2024 sim update number 5 beta, where the EFB was acting up weird. I know some other people also reported it, where the EFB was continuously flipping from vertical to horizontal, but it looks like that has been say resolved now. Gonna end the poll now. So let's see, end poll, 2 votes. All of you are Flight Simulator 2024. That's cool. Next poll, let's create some interactivity. Let me see. So I'm wondering who's participating in sim update number 5 beta for Flight Simulator 2024. Did you already try it out? Or did you try it out and then simply said, no, this is not for me, and you left it directly? Because those betas are nice, but they of course come with a challenge. You sometimes are being faced with issues which you really don't want to have, which make Flight Simulator almost unusable. But I must say that I didn't encounter too much issues. Most of the issues are simply caused by third-party add-ons. That's as always. And think of it, it's also super complex, right? Because there's so much different parts in Flight Simulator, which I would say, which can, I would say, result in weird things. I would say I'm not really surprised about this. So we're pretty close to the city of Breukelen. Here we go, we're already there, right? So here we are at Breukelen, which is, I would say, almost here. So let's go outside again, and then let's look from top. You can see also the highway, right? The highway always fun to see, including the ships, of course. Let's see if we see some ships. Here we go. Well, believe me, these kind of ships which you see now is definitely not realistic. So that's something which they need to fix. So here we see the city, or the village, because it's not really a city. So this is the main part of the village, but let's also go, let's follow this part, because this is the river, which, if I'm correct, is the Amsterdam Rhine Canal, if I'm correct. Also with the Ver Canal, I think it's the Amsterdam Rhine Canal. And it will also bring us to that castle which we discussed earlier. So let's see how well that one looks like. It's actually, we already bypassed it. It's that weird building over there. Now let's watch the altitude, because our next place which we're gonna visit is Utrecht. That's also where I live. So I pretty know how well it is, I would say, developed in Flight Simulator 2024 or in City Update number 14, I should say, right? Let's not talk about our Flight Simulator major versions. So we visit the city of Utrecht. So we already went to Rotterdam. We visited Brielle, we visited Amsterdam, we visited Breukelen. Now it's our next turn is Utrecht, and after that we fly to Eindhoven, which is more in the southern part of the Netherlands, but it also received an update. It also received an update, and that is the last city which received an update, right? They updated the triangular irregular networks, the TINs, and they made it the say areas of interest. That's a new term which they started to use. I would still have loved that they would still say told us a little bit more what kind of things they have updated, because I do think that it makes more sense. And I think also while we're flying over here, maybe we should decrease altitude a bit, just like we did in Amsterdam. So let me pull the throttle to almost 0, because we can decrease the altitude. Because right in front of us there's the city center of Utrecht. Having a lot of buildings, we can see the central station, which is, I will say, if we would fly more like this, then we would be able to visit it. And also can, I would say, increase throttling a bit, and then let's have a look at it. So this is the city. This is the city center. You can see a lot of railroads, because Utrecht is the, I would say, central point where a lot of trains come together. So if there's, I would say, something wrong with the trains, you're screwed if something happens here. And then we can see all kind of buildings, and again, this looks super nice, super sharp, I must say. I'm pretty happy. Here we can see a famous tower which they are reconstructing, although reconstruction has been completed now. But also this looks super nice, with all those canals, with all those nice old houses over here, with the solar panels on the roof, you can see. And then you visit some more modern buildings, so super nice. And then over here there's the soccer stadia from the local soccer club, which you can find over here. Also this part super nice. Look at the grass, look at the solar panels. A lot of solar panels on the roof, as you can see. So enough talked about Utrecht, because we bypassed it. So let's go to the next one. And the next one, of course, is, well, you already know it, that's Eindhoven. So we need to divert our direction a bit. So we're gonna continue following likely the highway a bit, because the highway will eventually bring us to the city of Eindhoven. I pre-programmed the flight a bit with Flight Simulator, with a flight planner, which makes it easier. Because it's always easier to have something, right? Because then at least you are, say, kind of know where you are. And that's, I would say, of course, amazing. So we're flying over here. We're flying now to the southern part of the Netherlands. You can see we're flying using the Fokker F27. That's the latest local legend as we speak. I'm still wondering what the next one will be. I'm still also wondering some of the other IDs, right? They release some plans with some other vendors which they had a partnership with, but currently I don't see any of them yet in the marketplace. Maybe that will happen soon, maybe it will change soon, based on, let's say, the session at FS Weekend, I think Microsoft announced that they will do a developer web stream soon. They're planning it. So likely they will, let's say, show us something more, right? What's going to happen. You can see that they can move around here. Here we've got the co-pilot. And we're flying. We're flying over the Netherlands. So for those who are just watching, we're flying over the Netherlands. Here you can see the equipment of the Fokker. It has the GNS 430 from our working title included, which makes navigation or navigating a little bit easier. Although here are also nice navigation systems. Likely I'm gonna say do a special video about those components. You can see the cockpit is full of wear and tear, which makes it super realistic. If you would go to the cabin, right, where the passengers are located, that looks a lot cleaner. But it also looks super cool, because they simply also included that. Now of course I need to keep an eye on my altitude, so I'm gonna increase the power a bit. Because I'm currently flying on, say, a little bit low. And as mentioned, we're not gonna fly the highway completely, because we're gonna do the shortcut, right? We simply want to, let's say, arrive directly at Eindhoven, because we still need to visit also those two other, say, cities. Those cities in Belgium, because Belgium also received an update. Say, the majority was in the Netherlands, but still also they gave Belgium some attention, which is super cool. So here we go. This aircraft, by the way, is also an autopilot. For those wondering, the autopilot can be found over here. Here's the autopilot master switch. You've got the altitude one, you've got the autopilot master switch, you've got an altitude button here, but it's, let's say, a little bit vague how it works. I didn't figure it out yet. Maybe I should have a closer look at it. You can also see some failures here, which is not good. Which ones are failing? Well, hopefully nothing to worry about too much. Here you can see that I can switch on the autopilot, right? Switch on the autopilot. Now I can release it and can also, let's say, I was expecting to, here, now I can press the buttons. Oh, that's how it works. Now I figured out how it works. And that simply, let's say, is making sure that it follows the altitude. We're flying 1800 feet currently, and I can still, let's say, do some changes, right? We can see that the, let's say, failures, we can press them, we can ignore them, whatever we want. And it's remaining the altitude right now. So we're on our way to Eindhoven, which is also updated as part of city update number 14. Here you can also see that the autopilot works. We switched on the altitude. We could also switch on the heading mode or nav mode, depending on what we want. So let me switch on the nav mode and let's see what happens. Of course, the hard part is to figure out what has been enabled and to see what it does. It looks like it works, right? It's gonna turn the aircraft. So we just bypassed Lopik, which is known for the biggest Christmas tree in the Netherlands. It's not a real Christmas tree, but it's a radio antenna which is being used as, let's say, Christmas tree. Still pretty cool. And a lot of water, of course, right? We can see that we're, let's say, at 1800 feet roughly. You can see that the aircraft adjusts itself. We can, say, play around with the airspeed, although it looks like that button hasn't been no, it hasn't been, say, it's not working. Also we can see some of the other buttons, the back course, we can see these buttons. Not everything is working, but most of those buttons are working. So this aircraft even has an autopilot. How easy can it be? While we're talking about that, let me go to the panels a bit, because this flight will take us a little bit more, right? Let me bring up the flight plan. So 24 nautical miles, as you can see, so that will take some time. As you can see, I can press those shortcuts, right? Shift 1 brings me to this panel where I can see the altitude, I can see the airspeed, I can see the clock. If I zoom in a bit, I can see the compass, the climb rate, I can see the direction, I can also see the, say, kind of the turns which we're making, and then of course the pneumatic pressure, both say standby and standby and port. Here we can see those lights. Those lights are likely not good, at least I do expect. So likely we need to fix something, but for now I'm keeping it as is. Besides that, there's this screen which you can also switch on, which is kind of I would say almost a traditional, I would say, radar system. I'm not sure. You can hold it to scan, right? So, but you can see that I can't press hold. So it's partially, let's say, well, developed, but not entirely. But maybe that will change soonish. Then here we can see the auto markers, we can see the flap, we can see the lamp test, we can see some other things, as well as the say PSI gearbox. We can see the temperature, we can see the PSI here also, we can see the gear here, the oil temperature, the fuel flow, some other temperature meters. I've not spent time too much on looking at these yet, so forgive me if I don't know everything. Then here we've got the autopilot functionality, all super nice. If I press shift 2, I will focus on these meters as well as on the say different levelers, right? We can see a feather and these are likely to, let's say, cut down the fuel flow, which are here. Shift 3 brings you to the co-pilot part, and shift 4 brings you to the top panel. And the top panel contains a lot about the radio frequencies. You can see the nav2, you can see the COM1 and COM3. You can see some other panels over here which you can change, as well as the transponder code, which you can simply put here. Normally it's done by the autopilot, but hey, you can, let's say, adjust it when needed. This, by the way, shift 4, then shift 5 brings us to this part of the aircraft, where you can change things like the let's say power settings, like the batteries. You can switch on the gen port and gen standby, right? I can switch them on. Maybe that resolves those red lights. I can have a look at the landing lights. I can have a look at the blowout master switch. I can switch on the starters. I can have a look at the emergency landing lights, the voltmeters. I can, say, switch between off and then to the other ones. Or likely will be able to see, okay, what's going on. So if I switch to this, I can see, I can read out what it is. So gen port or battery or generator standby. So nice that you can monitor this. I will cover a full video about that in the near future. And then shift 6 brings us to this part, which is above the co-pilot, where you can see the prevailing air temp control. I can see some other things. Let me hide co-pilot, I don't want to use it. The water methanol, the fuel filter. I can see some red lights are burning here, so maybe you should do something with it. No, it's simply on or off, that's what they say. I can see some other cool things. Also a lot of, let's say, switches. Not everything has been, I would say, modeled, and not everything is working. Right here you can see these are working, but these are not working. But maybe that changes in the future. Shift 7 brings back to the other side, to the pilot side, where you can look at these buttons also. The earth voltage, earth land, under voltage. And of course here also some important buttons, right? Fasten seatbelts, no smoking. No smoking. Nowadays you're not allowed to smoke anywhere, right? So in the aircraft. Then shift 8 brings us to this view, which is a little bit, I would say, special view. And then shift 9 brings us back again to the throttles. And shift 0 brings us to the autopilot part. So you can try whatever you want and whatever you prefer. So currently we're on our way to Eindhoven. So we're roughly 11.7 from the city. So here we go. And Eindhoven is the next city which received an update, right? It received an update as part of city update number 14 already. We're flying using the autopilot. Currently, I did fly by hand most of the flight. But I thought, okay, hey, it still is, let's say, fun to use the autopilot to see how that one works. And to be honest, it works perfectly fine. So let's see if I'm gonna, let's say, adjust the and the poll to see who voted. So I can see only one vote. Come on, people, vote on those when I release those, I would say, surveys, because I really am curious about this. If there's something you want me to try out, let me know. Or if you want me to have a close look at something, also let me know. I'm happy to do that. But then feel free to drop it in the chat, just like 321 Aviation did. Go to the message. Yeah, that's fine for me. 7.8. 7.8 nautical miles. So we fly over the Netherlands using the Saab, no, not the Saab, the Fokker F27. Although it has a lot of, let's say, common things, right? If we would go outside using, for example, the drone mode, let's do that. Let's look at with the drone. Then of course the challenge is also, where is it? The drone is still at the airport. So let's say, make sure we say drone follow mode, and this brings us in crazy fast mode. Well, not to the city. And now I hope that say Flight Simulator doesn't crash, because this of course is not what I wanted. So let's switch off this option and let it go external. So here we go. This is the external view of the Fokker F27. The Fokker F27, right, a really nice one. It's not developed anymore, and if you buy it, you will get several liveries, including this nice KLM livery. There's still some issues with the, let's say, with the traffic or with the aircraft code, or the aircraft code, which is not correctly shown, but hey, it looks pretty nice. Now let me try again if I can go back into the drone mode, but then follow the aircraft. Here we are, showcase, and then hit the reset button. Maybe it's... No, it won't allow me. Why? Previously it was working. Here you can see we're at the, let's say, at Rotterdam the Hague airport, which was the airport which we departed from. So here we go. So we're using this nice aircraft. There we see another airport, which likely is, it could be Eindhoven airport, could be. Likely it is, because we're gonna make a turn. So what you see on this end is the city of Eindhoven, with a large tech campus, with a lot of famous companies, which I'm not gonna call out, but you probably know what I mean. Then on the southern part of the city also have it. On the left side, that's where you see the city of Eindhoven. So let me go inside the aircraft and let me switch off the autopilot, because we want to fly manually this part, because we want to fly first to the city center, because I want to have a close look at that part. And I probably do think that most of you also want to know how it looks like. So we're gonna say fly a little bit different than initially planned, using this, I'd say, pre-programmed flight, but that's how easy it can be, right? Simply switch off the autopilot, and then you're, between brackets, good to go. So let's see how this works. So this is the city of Eindhoven. Eindhoven also received an update as part of city update number 14. You can see a lot of large buildings, but also the nice city center, including a lot of companies, let's say, which are known around the world, including, let's say, chip manufacturers, other things. Also, of course, the soccer, let's say, famous soccer club. Let me have a look at it like this. And here you can also see the level of detail. Level of detail again is pretty nice, as you can see. You can see cars driving over there. You can see, I would say, some more sporting facilities, as you can see. So, pretty nice airport, or a nice city, I should say, not an airport. Airport, it also has an airport, Eindhoven airport. It's a bigger airport. So we have a look at this. But we now, well, let's make the turn, right? Because we're now flying almost outside of Eindhoven, and that's of course not what we want. We're gonna turn further away, and then we're gonna make our turn into Belgium. There's the airport again. And what we're gonna do right now is, if we look at this side, we can see the other city, but here you can see Eindhoven. So also pretty nice. Let's do another turn. Let's move it a little bit further. And then let's have a look at the city of Eindhoven to see how it looks like. Here we go. Here you likely see also that famous that super super stadium is over here. Bypassing it almost. Here you can see it. Also, this looks super sharp and it looks super realistic. So super nice that it has been added to the latest city update. While we're flying, let's make sure that we're making the turn because we want to fly into the direction of our flight path because we want to use the autopilot a bit. Because our next stop is Belgium. So we're gonna fly to the city of Antwerp, which also received an update as part of that latest city update. So let's make the turn. Can also see some other buildings over here, a lot of buildings, but also nicely modeled, I must say, and super detailed. Need to use my mouse a little bit to say have a look at the altitude. Still goes good. So we're gonna make the turn a little bit further. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna at least activate the autopilot, activate the altitude. Here we go. So at least we're, let's say, pretty sure that we're flying a certain altitude. I'm not sure which altitude it's gonna fly because I didn't make any modifications to that. Likely I did need to set it up. At least I expect. And also the nav mode. I can switch it on and then let's see what happens. It should auto correct itself normally. So currently we're flying at 4,000 feet, which is a nice altitude, I think. And we're on our way to Belgium. On our way to Belgium, we're already live. Well, a long time, I think. Let me have a look at it. How long are we live? More than an hour. More than an hour we're live. And we did discover already multiple parts of the Netherlands. And we're now on our way to Belgium. We're gonna look at, in this case, Antwerp. We're flying using the Fokker F27, which is the latest local legend. If you didn't buy it yet, I would say I would strongly consider it because it's a super nice one. If you love flying, I would say a little bit older aircrafts, right? Not the modern A320s, although those are also super nice to fly with. Then have a look at this one because this is, I would say, it's a little bit like the Saab 330. I don't think so, but it has some, I'd say, it feels a little bit the same, not 100%. If we look at the flight plan, we can see that we're on our way 35 nautical miles. That's the distance which we need to travel from Eindhoven to Antwerp. We're flying using the autopilot to make things easier. Yes, this aircraft has an autopilot and it has the GNS 430. As somebody already asked, right, 3-to-1 aviation. Yes, you can switch between multiple radios if you got the PMS GTN 650 or the TDS GTN 650. You can also switch to those modes. The aircraft comes with both SimBrief and Navigraph integration. So if you have them, you can enable that. That will allow you certain things. Let me quickly show you. If you go to the map and you've got Navigraph, normally the map is like this. But if you want to go to the Navigraph map, you will get this. Also, let's say nice, you can, let's say, press the arrow and then you can switch between the different modes, right? VFR day, VFR night, world day, IFR high, standard, And then based on that, it tells you certain things. It also okay, not sure if this is normal, but hey, this is how it looks like. And of course you can also zoom in or out. So this, I would say, gives you clear view where you are, right? Here we were at Eindhoven, now we're on our way to the Belgium, let's say, airspace. So we are bypassing Brussels. Let's see if I zoom out a little bit further. Here we go. We're on our way to Antwerp, which has its own airport. You can see also some military aircrafts or airports are in the neighborhood, so we need to watch out a bit. But hey, we should be good to go. We're flying 4,000. Yes, it's the GTN 650. I'm not sure how cool it is because I didn't try it out. But hey, maybe it's super cool. So the aircraft. What I think about it. I think it's super nice. I like the usage. I like the things which they developed. And if I look at the price, it's, let's say, I think, I'm not sure how expensive it is, but not that expensive. And if you look at what you get, it's super cool. Of course, it's not a modern aircraft, but hey, sometimes it's also cool to go a little bit back in history and fly these older aircrafts. These older aircrafts are also super cool to fly with, if you ask me. Then of course we are, let's say, the modern things are also there, right? We can see that there's the electronic flight bag, which you can use to search for the meter data. You can import the sim brief, you can manage those ground equipment, you can say change the cabin lights, you can say cover the equipment. You can also individually open and close the doors. You have the map and you have the charts. And the charts, right, those are depending on Navigraph, if I'm correct. But this one, it also allows you to, for example, search for a certain map, right? You can say, hey, I want to have the AFC, and then you can open it. And this will likely use the default maps unless you switch on this box over here. But I'm not 100% sure because this also looks like it's, let's say, yeah, this is the flight simulator map as it looks like. You can see the stars, you can see the airnavs, you can see the AGCs, you can see other maps. Super cool and super easy to use. Super nice EFB if you ask me. So we're on our way, right, to Belgium. So let's have a look at the flight plan. 21.1. So 21.1 nautical miles, I say, from the city of Antwerp. Likely we're already above the, I would say, airspace. So let's have a look at the charts to see where we are. No, that's on the map. So here we are, we're currently here. So this is also where they say, okay, the minimum altitude likely has to do with something. And here's Antwerp already. So pretty close. And this makes it also easier for navigation purposes, right? You can say, let's say, try zoom out, zoom in if you want. And then also see the other parts of Belgium. If you've got any question, then feel free to drop it in the chat window, because I'm happy to help you out. Can I get some drink? So let's see where we are. Let's go outside again. Those who are just joining, this is the Fokker. It's a super nice aircraft. Super nice one. But let me also see if I can reset the drone, because the drone, there needs to be a shortcut. Let me figure out how to do that. I'm not gonna say display it on the screen because that's not funny for you, but let me see. In the past I had to reset the drone option, but I likely did not configure it anymore. Find it here. Reset drone. It should be the number 5. So let me try it. Let's go to this view. And now you will jump back to where we started. We started at Rotterdam the Hague Airport. So let's hit 5. Well, it will not reset, as you can see. I'm not sure where the aircraft is, but the aircraft is definitely somewhere else and not here. Because you can see, likely we're still somewhere in the Netherlands, to be honest. So let me have a look at this, if we can reset it. In some cases you can reset it via here. I don't see it. Oh, here it is, reset position. Why did I overlook it? How easy can it be? So we're now using the drone mode. So the drone mode makes it easier to look at some details of the aircraft. Because if you look at this, if you look at the livery, it's super nice. So this is the aircraft, right? This is the back, this is the tail. And the tail looks completely different compared for those who are watching my Saab 330 videos. Because this aircraft, for example, doesn't have that gas lock, right? It doesn't have the gas lock, which this I would say, which prevents that the say rollers are being damaged. Now if we look closer, we can see this nice door. This nice door is really nice. Well, it's not that special, but it will bring you inside the cabin and also inside the cockpit. And over here we've got those Rolls-Royce engines. The Rolls-Royce engines, super nice, also nicely modeled, including the heat, which comes, I would say, here, right? The heat from the engines. And then if we watch out where our head is chopped off, which we don't want, because here we can see the propeller itself with those yellow markers on the outside. And then in the front there's another door that's over here. I initially thought it was something like the, I would say, cargo door, but doesn't look like to be. Then here's the front of the aircraft with the drone, likely with some instruments in it. And of course we can see the pilot sitting over here. Now if we look at the bottom of the aircraft, we don't see any wheels, but the wheels are there. They're hidden over here. Oh, over here, I mean over here. And in the engine. Yes, over here. I would say gears are hidden inside the engine. And this is what I mean, right? You know that I love wear and tear. And look at this, look at the wings. All kind of wear and tear on the bottom. Super cool. Are there any other interesting things on the outside? Not really, but maybe on the inside. So let's do the magic thing and let's go inside the aircraft. Let's go inside the aircraft right now. I also need to keep an eye on Antwerp, right? Because we're pretty close to the city center. So maybe I should do that. So we're gonna do something else, something cool. So we're gonna divert or go down with the drone. Not likely need to increase the drone speed a bit. And then we're gonna fly over Belgium using the drone. So we're kind of, say, covered by the aircraft, which is, let's say, still somewhere above us. I don't see it anymore, but it should be somewhere above us. And this is Belgium. So this is the city of Antwerp. As you can see, I can kind of deviate from the pattern if I want. So this is the city of Belgium, which also received an update. You can see a lot of nice buildings over here, right? This was the part I was flying over in the, let's say, kind of promo video. You can see now it stutters a bit. But this also received an update. You see some nice parks over here. And over there we can also see something cool. Also look at this. Looks super realistic, super nice. There are of course some handcrafted buildings. which they didn't mention in the release notes, because I do think that those were already part of, say, previous updates. And then here we see, let's say, a large river. So let's see if we can find the aircraft. So we're gonna go up in the air again, because this is the city of Antwerp, and this city received an update. You can see it also has its own airport. Pretty nice. And now I still can't find the aircraft, but luckily there's that reset button, right? Let's use the reset button, and then let's hit the reset position, because that will bring us back to the aircraft. Because the aircraft, where was the aircraft, was already, yeah, it was already a little bit further. So the last city which we're gonna visit is the city of Brugge, right? That's also has a lot of nice canals, also a lot of other cool things. And we're using this nice Fokker F27 to fly to that city. How far is it? Well, let's have a look inside the cockpit, because that's where we will be able to see how far we need to fly. In this case, the flight plan says 5.9 nautical miles. I'm also going to double check if we're flying into the correct direction, because I kind of, I would say, planned this flight without knowing where it really is, because it's kind of hard to see on this map, as you can see. So maybe we can put up another map, the standard map, which helps us. This is kind of cool. Where are we? Let's see. Here you can see all the cities. You can also see the border with the Netherlands. Let's see if we're flying into the correct direction, because here we can see Ghent. Now I need to figure out where we are. Let's zoom out a bit. Oh, here is Brugge, right? So we need to change direction to here. Well, we can do that. Let me see. We're now here. Let me see where Brugge is. Is it closer to the... It's over here. Okay, it should be somewhere here then. This doesn't help. I was already hoping to see it here, but it's almost impossible to do. In that case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna fly manually. Yes, manually again. Because we need to make a course direction. Of course, I can also use the heading mode, but let me, I would say, fly manually. So we're gonna switch off the autopilot. Here we go. And then we're gonna make a turn, because we need to fly, say, a little bit further to the right side, because Brugge is a little bit more to the coastline. So we're gonna make that direction change as we speak, and then we're gonna see how far we come. Because how is it with the view? View flow is still good. I think the rest is also still good. Nothing to worrying yet. I'm not sure how many, I would say, fuel I put in the air, put inside the aircraft, but let's hope it's good. So here we go. I'm gonna fly into this direction. So still good. Yes. Let me adjust the range a bit. Oh, the other way around. So likely we need to go inside this direction, right? Goa, that's likely the thing where we need to go. So we're on our way to our last waypoint. Our last waypoint is the city of Brugge, which is the final destination of our flight. It looks like it's closer, say, than I think. or likely it is closer. The nice thing is that the EFB also is, I would say, telling us where we are, right? So here we need to go. So we can, if we would now fly, make a small correction again, and then fly straight on, that will bring us to the city. You can see already here the sea, which is, I would say, pretty close to the city. And right, that really, I would say, is fun. But as you can see, we're climbing like crazy, so let's do something about it. So let's decrease throttling a bit. Because else, if we keep climbing like this, we will never be able to see the city itself. And maybe it's fun to simply do a low VFR flight above the city. Who's in favor of that? Let me know via the chat. Let me know via the chat. So I'm gonna decrease the power already, because I already know what the answer is likely. So here we go, right? We're gonna say turn directions. So we're currently flying here, and here the city of Brugge is there. And so we're making our way into the city, decreasing altitude because we were simply too high. We were at above 7,000 feet, which doesn't really make sense. And I want to decrease the altitude.
Brussels Center, LH490 Lima Hotel 490, 7600.
LH490 Lima Hotel 490 Brussels Center.
So let's do another poll.
1014. Radar contact continue.
Should we do a poll? No. We've done enough polls today. So we're on our way to this nice city over here. It's Brugge, which has received also an update as part of that latest city update. City update number 14. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, latest city update number 14. And we're decreasing our altitude. You can see we're flying, I'd say, kind of an older aircraft. For those who don't recognize it, this is the Fokker F27 Friendship. We're on our way to Brugge, as you can see over here. Here it says some blocked things. I'm not sure what this is, but looks like this maybe is a bug which our INI builds need to fix. And I'm decreasing the altitude because I want to see the city itself, as most of you also likely want to see. And on this altitude we likely can't see it that well, to be honest. So 44, 43. $4,000 feet. And where are we currently? So we're getting closer and closer. Let me say increase power a bit. To avoid it, we're going too fast. Let's say too hard down. So we're on our way to the city of Brugge, which is pretty close. We're pretty close. It's over here. So first we're flying this part, then we're flying over the city of Brugge, and we're gonna do it a low altitude because I want to see how the city looks like after this city update. City update number 14. Who has watched it? Who has already looked at it? Let me know via the chat. I'm curious. We're coming closer and closer. to the city, which is nice. Likely we need to follow this road. It looks like this, I would say, kind of say, well, it's not a highway, but it looks like it's an important road, which will bring us into the city. Also keep an eye on the altitude, which is still good. And we're getting closer and closer. You see a lot of knobs, a lot of buttons. This aircraft has enough. And the cool thing is that most of them are working. So you can simply give them a try yourself. If you bought this aircraft, and if you didn't buy it yet, then have a look at the marketplace. Because to be honest, it's really worth the money. At least that's what I think. Of course, that's my own opinion. It could be that you completely disagree with me, but hey, that's what I think. We're making our way to the city of Brugge. I keep repeating myself, but maybe someone is new and doesn't know what we did. Well, what we did is we did take off from Rotterdam, the Hague airport. Then we did fly to Brielle, then fly to the, I would say, harbor, to Maasvlakte. Then we went to the northern part of the Netherlands. We visited Zandvoort. We did fly over the circuit. We did fly over, I'd say, Amsterdam. Then we did a low VFR flight over Amsterdam. Then what we did is we did go to Breukelen, Utrecht. Then we visited Eindhoven for a short time. And then we went to Antwerp. And now we are on our way to Brugge, which is right in front of us, right here. You see the city of Brugge. That one also received an update. A lot of cool things over there, with city update number 14. So we're gonna fly pretty low. We're currently at 3000 feet, so let me decrease the power a bit so we can descend a little bit further, so we can have a closer look at the city. Above Antwerp we did fly using the drone, but I'd say as final part, we're of course gonna fly using this Fokker on a very low altitude. Don't do this, I would say, in real life, I warn you, but hey, we're in Flight Simulator and that's where we can do more things than normally. Let me go outside, and then let's also say go to the back of the aircraft. Here we go. So we're pretty close to the city center of Brugge, which is in Belgium, and that one has also received an update. There's a lot of canals. I would say, well, you can't compare it with Utrecht and other parts of the Netherlands, but it still has a lot of channels. So I'm gonna say go inside again, right, to double check if we're going correct. Here we go. Yeah, if we fly this direction, we should enter up in city, and then we can go to the outside and have a look at it. Gonna decrease throttling even further. And then we need to watch out, because then the aircraft will likely start to make weird movements. And that's of course not what we want. So the city of Brugge also has a harbor, as you can see on the right side, a lot smaller compared to the other cities which we visited. But this one is also having a say nice city center. And if we go outside, right, we can see it. And as promised, we're gonna fly really low altitude so you can have a closer look at it. Move that irritating mouse pointer, so move it away. And here we go. This is the aircraft. This is the city. including some super nice buildings, as you can see. And increase throttling a bit. Now I need to watch, because else things will go wrong. So let's do another tour above the city. And then we're gonna end this live stream, because we're almost live for what? We're exactly live, 1 hour and 45 minutes already. That includes some time of the pre-video. But hey, that's fun. Here you can see some other cool things, right? This is the city of Brugge, which received the city update, received an update as part of the city update, I should say. So also a lot of nice things over here, right? If you look at the level of detail, it looks super cool. Also performance is good, I must say. I'm really happy with it. And with this, right, we're at the end of this live stream, which we did fly with this nice Fokker F27. If you didn't buy it yet, then have a look at it. It's really not expensive, and it's super nice aircraft. Has autopilot, it has even some modern navigation systems, which you say the original aircraft likely didn't have, but it makes your life a little bit easier. Thanks for watching this one, and keep an eye on my channel for some more new videos, and maybe also in the near future again a live stream. What topic it will be, I don't know yet, but keep an eye on my channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time.